Today I'm going to tell you about a suspenseful thriller that's just been released in theaters. It's written and directed by Ray Voner, and this time the horror factor is much closer to the real story. It begins on a farm in Ohio in 1995. It's remote and sparsely populated. The electricity is supplied by a generator. The food comes from a simple plastic shed. On the surface, life on the farm looks like a paradise. But in fact, there is a secret hidden here. The main character, Blake, is an 8-year-old boy. Every day after breakfast, his father would take him deep into the forest for basic training. They've been living here for generations, so learning to hunt was a must from a young age. His father told him that dying was the easiest thing in the world, but living required specific survival techniques. In the middle of the conversation, a moose suddenly appears in front of them. The father rushes to tell his son, but just as they raise their rifles to take aim at the prey, they walk into a blind spot. Somewhat disappointed, the father had to put down his gun and turned around to find that his son had disappeared. It turned out that Blake had gone around to the other side. He thought he'd have a better angle on the target, but when he got a good look at the prey in front of him, it had taken on a human form. Horrified, he looked again, but the figure from earlier disappeared again. At that moment the anxious father came running. He angrily rebuked his son for not acting without authorization.
Right fucking next to me, boy! If you don't do what I say, you get hurt. Do you want to get hurt? Huh? Do you want to get hurt?
No, sir. I just...
The aggrieved Blake was about to make a sly remark, but then there was a strange hissing sound right in front of them. The sound was unlike any animal they had ever heard. Fear of the unknown gripped both father and son in an instant. With shotguns in hand, they hurriedly withdrew. They were lucky to find a shelter. Without hesitation, they climbed into it. The father subconsciously raises his gun and aims it at the entrance. With the sound of approaching footsteps, the tension couldn't help but be suffocating, though there's still a plank between them, but the heavy panting of the prey was unmistakable. In desperation, my father decided to take the initiative, but looking around, he sees no target. The shot seems to have hit the prey. The sound of hissing filled the forest. Blake asks what's going on out there. Father replied that it was just a bear. Obviously, this was a well-intentioned lie. What had just happened was definitely more than a bear. By evening, father and son were finally back at their safe and cozy farm. The father radioed his best friend and told him what had happened. They learned that there is a terrible secret in the forest. Father asked his best friend to come over here as soon as possible, remembering that an explorer disappeared here a few days ago. Maybe the target of the daytime hit is this person. Without realizing it, Blake heard everything. He also knew the secret from then on. It's 30 years later. Blake had moved to San Francisco. He had forgotten all about his life.